everybody, welcome to Homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, we're talking about a 7.6 earthquake that struck Indonesia. This struck me, metaphorically speaking, as soon as I saw it because I recognized that number, 7.6. This happened, well, not this exactly, but there were a couple seemingly significant 7.6 earthquakes last year that I want to take a look at and maybe remind you about, or if you didn't catch the video, let you know. Some interesting earthquakes, interesting timing, okay? All right, so first, Indonesia, okay, and it was felt in Australia. Here on the earthquake, USGS.gov map, here's where it was, okay? Here's Indonesia right here. There was also a 7.0, excuse me, just a day before, over in this direction, Vanuatu, or however you pronounce that, I'm still not sure. But this is the one in question, okay? And you can see it's pretty close to the northern coast of Australia. All right, so a 7.6 earthquake. Let's look at a couple things. So I have up list of earthquakes for 2023 on Wikipedia. I feel like this is a pretty good resource for looking at past earthquakes because they have them all tallied up. I was trying to keep my own tracker because I was doing another channel. I was like, you know what? I should do another channel, have it be for a general audience, but it was just too much work. I'm actually thinking of using that intro occasionally, like whenever I do videos for Signs of the Times, because I'm really happy with that intro. And the music is by the same band, the 126ers, and I like it. So you can expect to see that soon. I would have done it for this video, but I don't have time today. The day's kind of getting away from me. Okay, so far, so the way that so they have criteria for what earthquakes they put on here on Wikipedia. This one, these are earthquakes at least 7.0 or bigger in magnitude, and they have the two that we just covered. Okay, 7.6 Indonesia offshore. All right, now let's look at 2022. We had noted. I better zoom in. Now, as far as death toll goes, the one that was in Afghanistan was the deadliest last year. That happened in June. I have it on my Second Coming timeline, and it killed 1,163. Okay, and then there was one in Indonesia, somewhere between 335 to 635. So those were the two deadliest. That one was in November. I remember when that happened. But let's take a look at the largest earthquakes. And the largest earthquakes last year were 7.6. They were essentially twin earthquakes in that sense, just because of the magnitude. So you had the first one that was in Papua New Guinea, okay, September 10th, and then one in Mexico, September 19th. Oh, I knew I was forgetting something. Let's see. Mexico earthquake strikes the same day. So the weird thing, let's go to this one, people.com. The weird thing about the Mexico earthquake is that there was one on that same exact date in 1985 and in 2017. 2017 is an interesting year. There were a lot of things that happened that year. That's when we saw Oumuamua. It was a sign in the heavens. It was the first interstellar object, meaning something that came from outside of our solar system that we've observed. The first time that we've noticed something from outside of our solar system. It came and then it left. I've done videos about it. I think it was a sign. That, of course, was the year of the Revelation 12 sign. We just talked about that when I did my interview with Jen Stevens. If you didn't catch that, I would recommend watching it. She made an interesting observation about the Revelation 12 sign and when it occurred. It's this video right here. And she's thinking about doing a YouTube channel. I've been talking to her. and she's thinking about doing it. So, okay, so they had on the same day they had a couple other earthquakes in the past in 2017 and 1985. Let's see. Gosh, I was gonna do this video yesterday. I had the stories up. Regardless, they were significant. That's all you need to know, and you can look up more if you want to. So a very odd occurrence, just because of that. Um, so the one in Papua New Guinea, that was the largest earthquake of the year for 2022 to that point. And then 9 days later, you have the one in Mexico that ties. So you have these two together. They're the largest earthquakes of 2022. Very close together. The Mexico earthquake kind of pairs up with those other 2 years, which is interesting. But not only that, but we looked at the Hebrew calendar and noticed a couple interesting things. So Queen Elizabeth died on the 8th of September. The next day, President Nelson um, had his birthday, and he became the oldest prophet or apostle of this dispensation. If you're just going by years and not months, and because like he became oldest like before that, but uh, as far as birthdays goes, that's when he became the oldest. Was the next day, and then the next day after that, okay, on the 10th, that's when we had the largest earthquake of the year in Papua New Guinea, and then 9 days later. Now look at this. This was 1 week before Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, however you want to pronounce it, it's Hashanah because Ha means the, so it's head, the year, Rosh Hashanah, whatever. This is when the Jews change like their calendar to the next year. See, so we went from the year 5782 on the Hebrew calendar to the year 5783 on Rosh Hashanah. And this earthquake happened 1 week before it. Now, it's this particular Rosh Hashanah was important and significant because up until that point, for the whole last year, the last Hebrew year, we were in a sabbatical year. That happens once every 7 years. It's the Sabbath of years. So that's why it's called the sabbatical year. So when we went from the sabbatical year to the next year, we are now in the Sunday of years. Okay, if you think of years as weeks, we are now on the first day of the week, Sunday. And we all know that's when Christ was resurrected. I've wondered if possibly he would choose a year like this after a sabbatical year um, to reinforce that idea to the Jews that the year that he comes would be the Sunday of years. So there were a lot of things that seemed to point to this particular Rosh Hashanah. But anyway, we're talking about earthquakes. So there was this one just 1 week before that Mexico had on the same date 2 other significant earthquakes on the same day. Not only that, though. Not only that. Now, on our calendar, the Gregorian calendar, we the anniversary of 9/11 it's on 9/11. It's on September 11th. On the Hebrew calendar, in 2001, it was the 23rd of Elul. Okay, and so this year, because the Hebrew calendar doesn't match up with the Gregorian calendar, it's based on the moon. The days change. So this particular year, the 23rd of Elul happened on the 19th, which is interesting because you got a 9 and you got a 1 in there. So, but anyway, that's the day that earthquake happened. It was 1 week before Rosh Hashanah. So make of that what you will. I'm not going to do like a full list of all the things that pointed to um, this Rosh Hashanah. You can go back and I've done. There's more things. There's more, but anyway, we're just talking about earthquakes right now. So you had these two twin earthquakes, one of them on the Hebrew years commemoration of 9/11, and they were the two largest earthquakes of the year. So with that in mind, okay, these did not hit until September. Okay, the ninth month of the year. So we were well into the year by the time we had the largest earthquake of the year. This year, we are not even done with the first month. We're not even halfway through the month, and list of earthquakes 2023. We're not even halfway through the month, and we've already had an earthquake that matches that ties with last year's strongest earthquake. You get what I'm saying? So, anything's possible. Maybe we'll have more. Most likely we'll have more this year. Maybe another one that'll tie or even exceed. Let's look at the previous years. That's why this is really handy right here. Okay, so last year we're looking at this column, 2022. Last year did not have any earthquakes that were 8.0 or above. It did have 11, again, interesting number, 11 that were between 7.0 and 7.9. The year before that, 2021, there were 3 earthquakes that were 8, excuse me, 8.0 or above. 3. Look at all the previous years. No other year back to 2013 has had 3. The most would be 2013 with 2. All the rest of them 1 or 0. So I don't know what was going on in 2021. Um, a lot of people were starting to become very aware of the proximity of the second coming around that time in 2020 and 2021. But there you have it. 2021 was a big year for earthquakes. Um, Not just for 8.0 or above, but also 7.0 to 7.9, because you see there were 16. There's only 2 other years that beat that, and they were 2015 and 2013 with 18 and 17, respectively. So I guess going back to 2013, 2021 ties for second place with 2018 and 2016. Um, so anyway, so thinking about this, it's pretty reasonable to expect that we're probably going to have, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of like what would you say? Maybe 11 to 18 earthquakes that are 7.0 or above. Um, if that's the case, like say that we have 12, for example. Well, if it's 12 and you evenly distributed that, that'd be ones per month. And so far, we've already had 2 for 2023, right here, a 7.6 and a 7.0. So we'll just have to see how things go. But it seems like things are kind of starting off a little bit rocky, so to speak. I haven't done like an in-depth thing to see how things played out these other years, and I'm not going to at this point. And before you type it, if you already have typed it, just delete it. I know about dutchsinse. I know about dutchsinse. I know about dutchsinse. I always appreciate you guys providing me with sources and have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? Um, Sometimes it gets a little bit much, but I understand. You don't know you don't know who I'm familiar with. You don't know if I know dutchsinse, but dutchsinse is a guy. If you haven't heard of him, he runs a great channel, and he focuses primarily on earthquakes. Um, he gets into some other stuff that you may not be really familiar with, like Tartaria and Star Force. Oh, for heaven's sake. Okay, Star Force. I'm not going to explain that. Just forget about it. Just earthquakes, okay? He's a big earthquake guy. And it seems like he's come down with a pretty reliable method and system of predicting where earthquakes are going to be, um, approximately where they're going to be and the approximate magnitude, and he has a good record of that. So um, check him out. He's really good. A lot of people like him. Some things are a little bit off the deep end, but just ignore that. That doesn't mean that his earthquake information isn't good. So I think that's all I had. I pulled this up. Oh yeah, we can look at this is list of 20th century earthquakes. This one is deadliest earthquakes. You can see there's a bunch, earlier on in the century, and I'm assuming that's because um, their building codes weren't, what they are now. So, you have Italy, Turkmen. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that's just an assumption on my part. And as you can see, magnitude of the earthquake doesn't necessarily equate to deaths. So there's a lot of factors, obviously, that go into that. Now, if we're looking at it by magnitude, for the 20th century, it looks like there were only 9 that were 9.0 or above. All right. And I'm not so sure I've even heard of these or any of their effects. Maybe some of you are old enough to remember this, but I don't know. And then it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Well, no, these are 8.5 or more. Okay, so 9, 8.5 or more. I wish they would have just put 8.0. Just, whatever. Okay, now let's look at the 21st century. How are we doing so far? Um, deadliest earthquake was, you'll remember this. I was on my mission at this time, but there was the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia. Truly a biblical event. And then more recently in 2010, there was the earthquake in Haiti. And look, it's only a 7.0, but it killed 220 people. So, yeah. Um, okay, so this is by deadliest earthquakes, and then largest earthquakes by magnitude. Again, it cuts it off at 8.5. And, we've already had 2 that are 9.0 or above. We've already had 2. And look, last century only had 3. At this point, we're only like 23% of the way. Not even 23% of the way through this century. And we already have 2 that are 9.0 or above. You see that? So this year, we're starting off pretty high with the earthquakes as far as like magnitude goes. And then this century, we're starting off pretty high as far as magnitude goes. Let's take a look at the 8.5. So there were 9 that were 8.5 or above in the 20th century, 9, and we're already at 4. We're already at 4. Geez, and it looks like Indonesia is taking the brunt of it, because the only other 2 countries are Chile and Japan, and then the 4 other earthquakes are all in Indonesia. This one, the Japanese earthquake in 2011, that was another so these 2 right here, the Indian Ocean earthquake in 2004 and the 2011 Japanese earthquake, those were biblical. They were biblical and they were cinematic. So when there's this like expectation that there's going to be bigger, worse things, that yeah, probably, but we already have seen quite a bit. We can't discount what's already happened. And it's been horrific, but okay. So that's all I want to point out. So we're starting off this year pretty strong compared to last year, because we've already tied last year with magnitude. So we'll just see what happens after this. All right, that's it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.